CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. The province is looking at banning new political party names and making amendments to citizen-led petitions. It's part of sweeping changes to 7 different pieces of legislation. One former UCP MLA says the bill targets him and his effort to create a new Conservative party. Tyson Fedor reports.
The application of citizen-led referendums could soon change. New rules would reset and remove the pro-separation Alberta Prosperity Project referendum question currently before the courts on whether it's constitutional. The group would have to refile within 30 days. The Justice Minister will also have the power to kill any questions that are deemed unconstitutional. Thomas Lukaszik's Forever Canada petition that has been verified will still proceed.
If those seeking independence believe that they have the support for it, this is their chance to prove it. This is their chance to demonstrate it.
Amendments to the new political party names include the chief electoral officer refusing to register a party if it uses a distinctive word or is linked to a previous party name. Words such as conservative, liberal, democratic, wild rose, advantage, and communist cannot be included.
The fact that there are 2 existing wild rose parties in this province, there doesn't seem to be any apparent confusion there, but it does seem to be an issue with us.
Peter Guthrie, a former cabinet minister with the UCP, has applied to create the Alberta Progressive Conservative Party. These new rules, however, would forbid that.
The UCP has been doing their best to try to hold us back, and they've been doing it for a long time.
The fact that they're trying to thwart the effort that he's engaged in right now seems to suggest that they're worried about Peter Guthrie.
If passed, that amendment would be retroactive to July of this year. The province believes similar names would confuse Alberta voters.
It would be no different than a party coming forward and seeking to register a name, the Alberta Democrats, or the New Liberals, or the Greenest Party.
Nobody is trying to use the Liberal name or the New Democratic name.
The Election Act will also be modified, increasing the number of signatures for an MLA nomination from 25 to 100, a direct response to the longest ballot of 200 names in the federal by-election that saw a long list of candidates trying to upset Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who went on to win.
Tyson joins us. And Tyson, there are several other proposed changes coming under Bill 14.
Well, under the Referendum Act in Bill 14, if it's passed, it will not require the province to implement the results of a binding referendum if it contravenes the Constitution. There will also be changes to the Justice of the Peace Act. Any JP that has served their 10-year term can then apply for an additional 5-year term. The province says this will help with the backlogs throughout Alberta's court system. Back to you.
Thank you, Tyson. The Justice Minister also addressed whether the government would make changes to the Recall Act. At this time, Elections Alberta has approved signature collection for recall petitions against 14 UCP MLAs across the province, including the Education Minister and the House Speaker. Many of the petition organizers cite the use of the notwithstanding clause as one factor, but some also say those MLAs have not responded to constituents. The Justice Minister says while his party views the Recall Act as misused and weaponized, they won't be making changes.
We've been clear that the Recall Act should be used for ethical violations and breaches of public trust. However, Cabinet and our caucus discussed this further, and we're not planning any changes to the Recall Act at this time. Our government remains very confident in our record and will continue to advance the important issues entrusted to us by all Albertans.
A recall petition against Premier Danielle Smith has been approved by Elections Alberta, but a date has not been set for signature gathering. Real or rage farming? That's the question experts are urging internet users to ask themselves as online discourse becomes more toxic. The latest thing to add to that toxicity is a new X feature showing where someone is posting from. It was meant to increase transparency, but as Tim Brook explains, there are still some unanswered questions.
The leader of the Alberta separatist movement says it's picking up steam.
It doesn't come with pomp and circumstance, but it is shifting, and so those are positive signs for us in our movement.
Head online and it's easy to believe. The town square is filled with almost non-stop separatist sentiment, But not everything is as it seems.
Our information environment is increasingly becoming a rage economy. And what we're seeing is foreign actors, foreign individuals sort of monetizing our polarization.
A new X feature shows the location of accounts, and many of those pushing separation don't appear to be from Alberta or even Canada.
They don't really have an interest in what's going on. The sentiments are probably not genuine. They just want to get the engagement.
But while some foreign actors have been exposed, others are now claiming there's been a mistake. Take the Alberta Prosperity Project, which has more than 15,000 followers, including the Premier. Its communications team tells us the APP is purely Alberta-rooted and that the new location feature raises critical questions about privacy and free expression.
So this is one more signal, but it's not necessarily a definitive signal like some are portraying it.
Other accounts claim they use a VPN to hide their real location or were tagged while traveling.
Location finder was left on, and it still says that it was posting from the United States. On the wall behind me, I've got the citizenship certificate.
Just another reminder to be cautious.
I would always take it with a grain of salt and see if somebody else that I know and trust that have a proven track record of providing accurate information is also sharing it.
And Tim joins us with more. Tim, this isn't just separatist accounts being shown out of country.
No, some decidedly Canadian accounts have also been tagged as being south of the border. Take, for example, last week, some users noticed that the federal NDP and Liberal Party had their location listed as being in the United States. Now, both those parties say they reached out to X to get the matter fixed, and now they're listed as being back in Canada.
Thank you, Tim. Calgary Mayor Jeremy Farkas spoke today about the first budget he and the newly elected City Council pass after 8 days of debate.
For far too long, our city councils have been divided, seeing factions emerge from downtown versus suburbs, north versus south, progressives versus conservatives. And this council has shown that we're willing to move beyond all of those past battles with a real commitment to working together and solving problems for Calgarians.
Jeremy Farkas says council debated and considered 40 amendments to the draft budget, which came from the previous mayor and council. The new budget cuts the property tax increase by about 2/3 of what was planned and invests in safety, transit, housing, and infrastructure, including recreation facilities. Calgary police have charged a teenage boy in connection with 2 fatal overdoses. They happened on the Tsuut'ina Nation 6 months ago. Police say the 17-year-old sold cocaine during his school lunch breaks. He faces a long list of charges, including drug possession and trafficking. The holiday season is upon us, and police are ready with check stops to catch impaired drivers.
If you're going to drive, you don't drink. It's as simple as that. If you have a doubt in your mind that you haven't slept well the night before or you haven't had much to eat that day, don't take that risk and drink any alcohol at all.
Of the 35 fatal collisions in Calgary so far this year, impairment was a factor in at least 5 of them. Check stops happen year-round, but are stepped up every December. Officers will stop people at random and can conduct a roadside test for drugs and alcohol, even if no impairment is suspected. People who drive impaired risk criminal charges and loss of their driver's license. Banff is considering thinning out a dense forested area near a railway track to reduce the number of elk being struck and killed by trains. Parks Canada notified the town that elk train collisions are high on the stretch of line adjacent to commercial properties along Eagle Crescent. It says 42 elk have been killed there since 2004. Council is now considering thinning vegetation to create clearer sight lines for elk and their herds as trains approach. But some residents question why the town and not CPKC would front the $20,000 cost needed every 5 years for maintenance.
I don't see the railway being part of that conversation for this proposal. And so as a resident of Banff, I'm concerned that town of Banff money is being used to solve a problem that belongs to the Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railway.
Administration has not yet approached CPKC about the project. In a statement about wildlife safety, the company says it works with Parks Canada, other stakeholders and experts in an attempt to mitigate wildlife conflict, adding there are no simple solutions for minimizing strikes along railway corridors. The University of Calgary has been named as one of the top 5 research universities in Canada. The ranking by Research InfoSource is based on external funding. In 2024, the U of C received nearly $600 million in research funding that year. The 5th place ranking is 1 spot higher than last year. The university's president says the ranking speaks to their research, innovation, and a strong learning environment for students.
Being in the top 5 is a recognition that our faculty members are competing extremely well on the national and international stage to bring in funding to support the research enterprise in Calgary, at the University of Calgary. Very, very important.
Ahead of the U of C were Toronto, Montreal, McGill, and UBC. Calgary also ranked in the top 5 for research funding per faculty member. Some local athletes rolled up their sleeves today to help feed Calgary kids. Current and retired members of Team Canada got the day off training, but put in a solid shift in the kitchen. Brown Bagging for Calgary's Kids feeds 8,000 children every school day. With the rising cost of groceries, 1 in 5 Calgarians report they struggle to put food on the table.
You know, everyone here in Calgary and maybe Canada feels how expensive food is. So, you know, I bet some parents feel that as well. And so to be able to provide some of these lunches to these kids, it's you can definitely understand how important it is to them.
This is really a community effort. And so especially having folks who are role models and ambassadors in our community be able to be part of that work is so important in spreading the word and in helping make sure that everyone has what they need in our city.
Organizers hope to raise $1 million to deliver 250,000 lunches to children throughout Calgary. Really nice to see those Olympic athletes getting involved in the community.
Absolutely. And lots of people getting involved in the community, especially this time of year. And today was a nicer day to do that because temperatures were quite mild. It was a little easier to get around if you don't mind a lot of slush. Ian had mentioned earlier today to me, very slushy out there, Danielle. Yes, it is. We're going to get colder, though, over these next couple of days, so it'll be more icy than slushy. 2 degrees is the temperature in the city at the moment. It's 1 in Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, Milk River, 3 in Brooks, and Drumheller as well. 0, so at the freezing mark in Banff. All right, looking at the wind, yes, it was certainly a gusty day, predominantly out of the west. 85 was the max in Pincher Creek today, 69 in Lethbridge, 33 in Medicine Hat, and closer to 40 in Calgary. Brooks in those mid-30s, so a fairly windy day. Again, predominantly out of the west, but at times out of the northwest as well. This was enough to get our temperatures up and above the freezing mark for most communities, as you saw. We're going to switch gears now as this system starts to make its way down. So we'll kick it off with flurries throughout the evening hours, overnight hours, and then we have flurries tomorrow and then picking up into heavier snow later tomorrow. So you can see already these bands starting to make their way into the city. So as you can, for the next few hours and really throughout the overnight, we're just looking at isolated flurries. And I can show you this on the Futurecast here. Isolated flurries, so some communities will get some, then you'll get a break, and then it will be back. The heavier band will arrive later in the day, and specifically for Calgary, it will be closer to the evening hours. So there's that heavier band in BC, and this will track into the city closer to 8:30 p.m. This will be much heavier. This will be stuff we got to shovel. Yes, we're looking at another round of that for sure. And it's also going to drag in cooler temperatures that will stick around for a couple of days. Just to give you an idea of how much snow you can expect from this one, and because the wave will be focused closer to QE2, Highway 2, really from Airdrie down to Lethbridge, 2 to 4 centimeters is what's likely with this. Same thing goes for Calgary. So we're certainly looking at some accumulation, enough to shovel. For the tomorrow as well, key thing to mention is that temperatures will actually drop throughout the day rather than warm. So in the morning, -5 with a wind chill of -9 when off to work and school, with isolated on and off flurries. Then the snow will get more consistent and intense late tomorrow, and that's when we'll pick up our real accumulation. And by the afternoon, the wind chill will feel more like -14. Looking at that longer range forecast, again, -5 is just the high for tomorrow, but that's in the morning. Cooling throughout the day. -11 is our high for Saturday. The flurries will likely carry into early Saturday morning and then taper off. And then we're looking at more stable weather, and temperatures will get back to that freezing point by Sunday.
Thanks, Danielle. Lainey Wilson will be among the headliners at next year's Country Thunder in Calgary. Wilson is a Grammy winner and this year's Country Music Association Entertainer of the Year. The festival used to be held in August, but it has been moved to June 26th to the 28th next year. The other headliners are CMA Vocal Group of the Year, the Red Clay Strays, and Kane Brown. Once again, the festival will be at the Confluence Historic Sites. If you're looking for some holiday music this weekend, this event's for you. The 18th annual Holiday Tuba Fest takes place Saturday afternoon at Lester B. Pearson High School. Close to 100 tubas and other large brass instruments are expected to perform seasonal songs. Players of all ages and skill levels are invited to arrive at the school at 10 a.m. for rehearsals. Then at 2, the festive concert begins for the public. The show's coordinator says the sound produced by so many tubas is something to behold.
I've always said sort of rich and chocolatey. We've got this dark, warm sound that the low brass make. And there's a certain element of humor in that these big instruments that are often the accompaniment in the back row are up front and playing the melodies and playing these fast lines. But it really comes off really well. It's a lot of fun.
The show is free, but everyone is encouraged to bring a donation for the Calgary Food Bank. Those living at a seniors center in Carstairs had a very special visitor today. The furry friend brought smiles to lots of faces, but there was a time when the animal's future didn't look so bright. Jacqueline Wilson reports.
Step by step, Nugget, the 7-week-old mini horse, makes her way to the front doors of Chinook Lodge in Carstairs. A new future as a therapy animal awaits this little foal.
Well, she's a spicy little thing. She's, as you can see, she's very level-headed and very quiet, very dependent on me, but also very independent and a little salty. She likes to kick up her heels and run.
Residents couldn't rein in their excitement.
This was awesome. This is one of the better ones that I've brought in here. It's really enjoyable.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't often get a chance to get close up to an animal like that.
But Nugget's life hasn't always been happiness and smiles. Things took a turn when she was mauled by a dog outside of Calgary in October. That's when Daryl Glover was called in to make the rescue.
She had some pretty serious bites on her neck and her ear and her head and her face, and she was extremely dehydrated. She was just about expired.
Nugget has made a remarkable recovery and is now enjoying every moment of her new life with her rescue family. She even has a best friend, 7-year-old pony named Ducky. A life of joyful frolicking is well-deserved for little Nugget as she spreads joy wherever she goes.
It's amazing, just the look on their faces. It just brightens their day. You can tell they were all excited. One lady came out specifically just for the horse. She doesn't come out for anything else. So, I mean, it's huge. It's such a huge opportunity, I think, for the residents.
Owner Anita Resnichenko hopes to get Nugget officially certified as a therapy horse soon so she can continue bringing happiness to many senior homes and schools in the future. Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
And if you'd like to have Nugget visit you, reach out to the Help Alberta Wildies Society. Thanks for joining us. For breaking news anytime, go to our website, ctvnewscalgary.ca. We'll see you tomorrow.